Hi everyone and welcome to Inderes TV. Today I'm here with Remco Westermann, CEO of MGI. Welcome Remco.
Hey Christoffer.
So last week MGI published its Q1 earnings result, which showed that the positive momentum from the end of 2023 has continued. Could you just briefly walk us through the first quarter and what were the highlights?
Yeah, we had a very good start into the year. And indeed, let's say last year was more difficult. People cutting advertising budget, etc. Q4 last year was showing already good progress. Q1 is building on that and even better. And yeah, what did we see? Old customers coming back with their spend. I think that's a very important one. So they reduced their budgets, but you cannot reduce too long because you need to protect your market share. You need to gain market share. Also, economic outlook is more positive. So that's one thing we see. But we grew more than what we saw on old customers coming back. And that's new customer growth. So we had a 30% new customer growth on our large customers. And yeah, I think we are still gaining market share in the market, really developing nicely with our contextual solutions. People really start to realize in Q4 that cookies identifiers are disappearing and that you need to do your targeting in a different way. And even though Google now has announced that they will postpone it a bit, there is, how to say it, yeah, there is awareness in the market. We have very good solutions for that, and it helps us.
So shortly after releasing the report, the company have announced a few changes, including the intention to rename the company to Verve Group, but also the addition of new board members. Could you explain the rationale behind these moves?
Yeah, we have taken the decision to rename, and I think it was more than due to do that. The company has really gone in a very nice journey. We started as a games company. We said to really, we see rather that there's a big problem for games companies, but also for other companies on the advertising side. Also being a listed company, you want to have a sustainable, reliable organic growth. That was the reason that we pivoted to becoming an advertising media company. We started that a bit less than 5 years ago. And we are now majority-wise an advertising company. So it's time that we make that clear. So the media and games invest, the invest is more indicating that we are fund. We are not, we're an integrated company. And games is only a small part, important part because we get a lot of data and things from it. But we are an advertising company and that's what we want to really show. That's the reason that we take Verve as the new brand name. And Verve is the company name that we already worked with in the US for our advertising part. So it makes sense to rebrand. AGM, of course, the shareholders have to give consent to that. But after that, we will rebrand. And then to your second question, that is on the board. We have a board with 6 members at the moment. We're going to extend it to 7. And we want also there to give more emphasis on advertising. And one new board member is Greg Coleman, who is, let's say, very well known in the advertising market. He worked on the publisher side, on the advertising side. He was, for example, chairman of Criteo, a listed advertising company. But he also managed BuzzFeed and several other companies in the sector. So really somebody who knows the market, who knows the sector, a very good candidate. He's a US citizen, so also in that sense showing our strong US presence. And then Peter Huiboom comes from Dentsu. He was managing all their agencies worldwide. So he knows the demand side, the agency side, the customer side behind it. So yeah, super happy with those 2 people joining us. And I think also showing a bit that the company really is growing in that direction and that we get those people willing to be joining our board.
And as you mentioned, Google have announced a further delay of the cookie phase out until 2025 from previously end of 2024. How do you foresee this impacting the business for the remainder of 2024?
Yeah, the cookie as such will not impact or cookie deprecation so much on the real side. So you can still target with identifiers with cookies. But for us, the most important thing is that the psychology has changed. A year ago, even half a year ago, people were also always like, it will not come, cookies will still be there. Even though Apple had already deprecated its IDFA, people jumped over to Google. Google is the bigger part of the market, so they had something like, this is not our problem. And then in Q4, when Google announced we're going to do it and also started, advertisers started to realize we need to do something. And even though now Google delays it, where there's a lot of good reasons for it, because the solution that they offered are far from perfect, I would say, and there's some improvements that need to be done. That's what they are working on, and it will come. The cookie deprecation will come. But the, for us, important point that there is awareness that it will change is there, and we see that on the customer intake.
And this might be a tricky question for you, Remco, but could you provide insights into how much of the 16% growth in Q4 and the 20% growth in Q1 that was due to the general market recovery versus the company's investment into product innovations and the changing landscape of IDFA and cookie deprecation?
Yeah, by far the majority is our doing better than the market, but the market is coming back. As I mentioned before, I think 10% on the, let's say, existing customers, comparing them the same customer base to a year ago, we had a 10% growth. We had a 21% overall growth, and also in the old customers, they were not only growing because of market recovery, but also growing because of getting extra products, scaling up. So majority is us doing pretty well on targeting, on AI. We have invested a lot in AI. We have a lot of new solutions also for contextual targeting, and that's where we're really winning. But we are happy that the market is also coming back because of that gives, of course, a lot of tailwinds.
And lastly, Remco, I thought we could look ahead a bit. So what would we prioritize within the coming upcoming quarters within the organization, and what do you consider the most important events for investors to watch as we approach the second half of 2024?
Yeah, we want to further grow, so no big miracles, I would say. We have a lot of good growth tracks. So one of them is really adding more customers, growing those, making sure that the customers that we have, that we scale them, that we work closely together with them, that we bring them solutions, especially on the contextual side, that we really start building cases with each of the customers to show them that contextual targeting can be better actually than without identifiers. So we don't need to wait till the cookie is deprecated by Google, but that we can now already really start scaling on that. So that's super important. But also we are very strong on the supply side. We further want to build that, so integrate with more apps, also get more into connected TV in Europe and US. We are very strong in connected TV already. But also building the demand side. And I think I've said it also in previous interviews and also in writing. If we are able to get closer to the advertisers and the agencies, the whole solution that we have even gets more efficient, and that will also give us much more growth potential towards the future. So I think we will further grow strongly in the next quarters, and very positive about the future.
So thank you much for joining us today, and if you want to know more about MGI, please head to inderes.se or MGI's webpage. Thank you much for watching.